Hello everybody, my name is Aceface. Today we're going to be doing a special video for all those people who keep saying that I should be doing some stuff for the new players, because I always do like T4, T5, sometimes even T6 Abyss, but that is very daunting and it's basically almost impossible for new players or alpha clones to do. So today we're going to be going through a very new player friendly fit that only costs 10 million, and this is made for T1 Abyss, so T1 Gamma Filaments, and it is the Talwar. The Talwar is the Minmatar Destroyer, and it's got some good range actually with the light missiles. So if we go here, go in the light missiles, if we just do it here, 63 kilometer range, so we'll be doing DPS all the time. And the reason we're going to be doing Gamma Filaments is because the Talwar has bonuses to the light missiles, or the missiles that are explosive types. And the explosive type missiles, you can see here, if we go here, you can see explosive type missiles. And then the reason, because of that, then we're going to be wanting to do gamma filaments, because all enemies in the gamma sites, they have reduced gamma resistances, so that's why we'll be essentially doing more DPS. Also, we're then going shield buffer tanked. You can see here we're using shield extenders, and this is giving us 9k EHP, so that's a good amount of EHP right there. And also the good thing about that is that in the gamma sites we get a bonus to our shield capacity, so I think we'll be getting about like 13k EHP, so we'll be pretty tanky, and we'll be doing quite a bit of DPS at a really good range. Okay, it's not crazy amounts of DPS, 150, so it's not amazing, but we've got really good range. So there's a lot of different factors when it comes to DPS. You can have really good DPS and you can have really close range, but like it'll take you a bit of time to get to the enemy to apply that short range DPS, and that is wasted time. And that's the whole point of DPS, to complete the site quicker. So if you've got really long range, you'll start being able to do DPS a lot faster, and that saves you a bit of time in that regard. Okay, so remember, if you're doing this destroying Abyss, you're going to have 2 gamma filaments, because this is actually made for 2 destroyers, but we're going to do it as 1. And then you'll need 2 filaments, so you can't do it in 1. And also, you have to be in a fleet, so just click with yourself, form fleet, and then just wait a little bit, because you'll see this circle up here. You have to wait until this is loaded to be able to launch the filament, otherwise it won't work. You can do here, the filament's finished. Okay, now select 2 destroyers. So we only got 1 destroyer, but that's the thing. We're going to be able to do it as 1, and also that's a good thing, because in the Abyss, when you're using like 2 destroyers, you'll be getting double the amount of loot as if it was 1 cruiser. So if 1 cruiser was going to do a calm gamma filament, it would get half the amount of the loot as what we're doing. So that's why it's pretty good. So essentially, we're getting T2 level loot, because the thing is, T2 loot is about double the amount as T1, T3 double the amount as T2, T4 double the amount as T3, etc. Let's go in and demonstrate this right now. So also, I wanted to say that I've got pretty good skills, but I can still imagine this being possible for people who even got not so good skills, because this is quite easy. You see here, we've got 11k EHP, so a lot of EHP. Also, I'm using Tech 1 missile launchers, so I would probably use Tech 2 if I was to optimally use this for my skills, but I don't need to, because I want to use something that's a bit more accessible, so I'm using the compact ones. We're just going to go here, pilot around, this is one tip, hold down Q and just pilot around just like this, and then like hold down Q, double click in space like this, then you'll just keep moving. You can see here we're only taking a tiny bit of shield damage, and we're going to kill them very quickly, very quickly. One tip also is that if you've got small ships like this here, you see small ships like these rogue drones, they're frigates. You can see that they're frigates with this triangle mark over here. Go to the blue clouds, because then your missiles will be doing more damage. Not that they won't be doing more damage, but they'll be applying the damage more, because the thing is, the blue cloud, it makes it so that enemy ships, their signature radius is bigger, so they're kind of like made to look like a balloon, sort of, you can think of. And because of that, the missiles will do more damage, because if you've got a very tiny ship and you're shooting a missile on them, then they'll make it, then a bit of the damage will be reduced, because it's just the way missiles work. Like, they won't be encapsulated by the whole explosion, if you think of it like that. So if this blue cloud makes them bigger, and it makes them then like a really big ship, then their entire ship will be encapsulated by the explosion of my missile launcher. But it won't be such a big deal, because we're using, these light missiles. It will be more of something to think about if you're using like a big missile, like a heavy assault missile and cruiser. But it will still help a tiny bit, even if we've still got, a small missile, because just the way that these guys are just small. If we were up against cruisers, for example, Ephialtes is an example, then, or like the Scylla Tyrannos, then it would be better to actually stay out of these, because this also makes you yourself bigger. So we're not in the blue cloud right now. It should say here like some particle storm or something. Then it'll like be a blue mark. Then it'll make us bigger as well. And the thing is, if you're bigger, then it'll also make the enemy ships easier to attack you. So that's also something to think about. If you're against bigger ships like a Scylla Tyrannos or like a like a Ephialtes, these cruisers or even battleships, you'll have absolutely no issue at applying damage. So then you also want to think about then that you yourself will become bigger and it'll be easier for them to apply damage to you. And even though I said that, that thing with encapsulating enemy ships or in the explosion of your missiles, it also counts for turrets as well. So it'll make so that the turrets will have an easier time attacking ships that are a lot bigger, because this makes you become a lot bigger. Let's go to the loot and see what we get here. It's not going to be like, for people who are pretty experienced, then this is not going to be that good loot, but it's pretty good for starting ISK, and also it's pretty reliable as well. The Punisher I use is good, but I feel like this is a bit more like chill, because you just go in, start shooting missiles. You don't have to think about ammo types. You've only got one ammo type. It's very relaxing in my opinion. Okay, so we got there 800k. I think that was 1 million, because the stuff on the test server is worth less than it is. We're on the test server right now. I forgot to say that, because this is actually something really good for you new players. Use a test server. You can just Google EVE Online test server and find out how to join it, because that is a very good way to experiment with new fits without actually having to risk stuff. Because I bought this ship for free, and you can see here the stuff here is worth 100 ISK. This is also worth 100 ISK. This would be worth a bit more on the real server. Okay, let's go to this guy over here and start locking this up. We have to be within range because we've got a targeting range that's not so far. But anything in our targeting range we can shoot, because we've got a really good range on our missiles. So obviously if you're a new player, you're going to have a bit shorter range than this. You'll have not a 63 kilometer range, but you'll probably have similar, like maybe a 40 or 50 or something like that. So you've still got pretty good range for your targeting range. You don't like, it's completely unnecessary that I have the 63 kilometer range, because I can't lock anything. The way I would have to utilize that is if I were to put like a sensor booster, but that would not be really worth it, because then I would be sacrificing one of my shield modules, and I don't want to do that. Let's go to this is also something I forgot to say, and there's a kind of a mistake I did on the last wave. Since we're Afterburner fit, we're not moving particularly fast, 650 meters a second at least for me. So this makes so that it'll take a long time for where you spawn in here, like you spawn like over here somewhere, to get to the gate. And because of that, you always want to be moving towards the loot cache. So this is actually a mistake I forgot to think about where in the first wave. Just always remember that. Always make sure you're moving towards the loot cache. The only exception don't want to directly go to the loot cache, or the main exception, is if you've got like a battleship. If you've got a battleship room, then do not fly directly towards the battleship, because the battleships do a lot of DPS. The only thing is their guns move very slow, or they've got very hard time hitting small things like you when you're in a destroyer. So then because of that, you'll want to go in like an arc. So what you do is say this is the gate over here. Now we're at the gate now, but say the gate was over here, then I'd hold down Q and go in like in an arc. I wouldn't go directly towards it, I'd go in an arc. Actually, it's important that I keep shooting. Okay, so this is, I find this, even though this is maybe like not as smooth as, because a Punisher definitely can do T1 Abyss as well, and also you'll be getting a bit more ISK as well, but I feel like this is a lot more relaxing. You don't have to think about changing ammo types, you don't have to think about activating any modules. You just go and just blast away whatever you can lock up. I think it's a lot more chill in my opinion. Okay, let's get to the next one. Let's see what we have in the third room. Okay, so this is an example of a battleship. We're perfect. So we'll be going here like this. See here? We're not going directly onto him. We're going to the side, because this will make so that he has a harder time hitting me. Okay, we see here. Go for Ephialtes. This is an example of like a cruiser wave Ephialtes. Okay, this guy is going to die pretty easily. Let's see, will he be able to hit me? Yeah, you can see that. You see that? Charybdis Tyrannos is this battleship then. You see that? He's shooting, but he cannot hit me because he misses completely. That's the reason why we go in an arc. If we go straight towards it, then it will not be so good. Okay, so we can see here we've got a Deviant Automated Suppressor, and this is a good thing to understand. Stay away from these, because the thing is, these shoot down your missiles. You see us shooting out all these particles here? These particles, they shoot down missiles. They like make them so your missiles are not effective. Oh, we have to keep going. And if say if a battleship like this one here is going to just stay, like this battleship Charybdis Tyrannus, he always kites us, so he'll always be going further away, so it won't be much an issue here. But you can have something called like the Bethnic Abyssal Overmind or the Abyssal Overmind. The Abyssal Overmind will tend to stay in place, it won't move so much. So they could be that an Abyssal Overmind stays near one of these. It just happens that they spawn right next to one. Just make sure you're really close to the ship, because if you're really, I've noticed that if you're really close to a ship and you shoot it with missiles and there's a deviant automata suppressor, then I think it's a high likelihood that they won't get shot down, because they've not have like so much exposure to the point defense. Because you can call this point defense, like it shoots down, you know, the missiles. Okay, wreck this guy. Really easy, very easy. The thing is, Charybdis Tyrannus actually is one of the more difficult ones, but in terms of time, because Charybdis Tyrannus has a pretty beefy shield, so it doesn't seem like it because it's got hardly any HP in the shield, but in general, from like doing all the filaments, like even up to T5, you'll notice how the Charybdis Tyrannus has quite high amount of shield HP, or like a shield resistance at least. So that is buffed by the Gamma, because the Gamma increases shield HP bonus. So be careful about that, because it'll make it so that they will actually have, or not, it's not something to really be careful, but just keep that in mind. The shields will be a bit stronger, but you'll see the structured will go down pretty quickly. Shooting this guy, and actually we'll make our way towards the loot cache now, because you can see we're so close that you could think of it, if you're a new player, this will maybe seem a bit unintuitive, but the turrets on the ship that are shooting me, they kind of have to like turn to hit me. And if I'm very close, even small movements will make it so that they won't be able to hit me. It seems a bit dumb, I know. That, like, how is a turret turn so slowly? It doesn't make any sense, but that's just the way it works. And if like turrets, if they're bigger, they turn slower and they have a hard time to hit something, especially if it's small. Like we're in a destroyer, we're not so big. You can see also here, the signature radius is 76 meters. This ship over here is like, I think 500 or no, it's about 800 meters, something like that. I have to keep shooting. It's always important to keep shooting. I've been getting lots of requests about making a alpha clone or like cheap, easy Abyss video for Minotaur players, because I've made it for the Amaha and I've also made it for the Caldari with the Kestrel and Amaha with the Punisher. But the thing is, I don't particularly think the frigates of the Minotaur are that good, but the Talwar I think is a pretty good destroyer, so that's why I think I was deciding to actually do this video on this one. It's soon dead. You can see here the time is pretty good time. You've got 20 minutes in the Abyss, so you can't just chill here forever, otherwise you will get destroyed. Your ship will implode on itself. But we're doing pretty well. You know, see here we've done 11 minutes. It's pretty good. You can also go for these extraction subnodes, but they give so little ISK. I would not recommend it. It's not worth your time. It'll just cost you more time to go to them than to actually get them. But it could be like, say you're against some rogue drones, those like frigates we were up against in the first wave. Then it could maybe be worth it, because they will always be following you. Then you won't be out of range of your missiles. The thing is, like if it was Charybdis Tyrannus like we want now, Charybdis is always going to stay at range. So if we go to one of these extraction nodes, then we'll be out of range of our missiles. We won't be doing damage, and because of that, the site will take longer. So all in all, it's not worth it, in my opinion. But if it was something like a rogue drone wave, some kind of NPC wave that follows you, then it could be worth it to just get a little bit of extra ISK by going to them. But you're going pretty slow with the Afterburner, so that's why I don't like it. But it'll be a lot easier if you were in like an MWD fit, but I don't think that's such a good idea, since we're using buffer shield fit. Buffer shield fit makes so that makes your signature radius pretty big, and because of using an MWD or micro warp drive, it'll make it so that your buffer or your signature radius is even bigger. That's the thing with the micro warp drives, that make the signature radius even bigger. Because of that, it's going to be as if our ship is like really bloated, and it's going to make it so that the enemy ships can hit us a lot better. It's the same thing with our blue cloud. The blue cloud makes our ship bloated or bigger. It increases our signature radius. Okay, we'll dock here. So that's it for the Talwar and the T1 Gamma Abyss. Hope you enjoyed. Hope this is helpful. If it was, or if you just enjoyed the video in general, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.